Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Memo and I mainly draw things for a living. The Artist Starter Plan is a calendar I created to help you start learning how to draw if you're a complete beginner or get back into drawing if you haven't done it for a while. The plan goes from drawing simple lines and shapes in the first week, moving on to portrait, gesture, clothing, and full characters by the end of the 31 days. I recorded this as a series of live streams on Instagram, so unfortunately the format is portrait and there's some level of chit-chat throughout the videos. I hope you can still enjoy it, download the calendar for free, and start your own practice. It doesn't need to be the first day of the month to start, just pick day one and build up from there. Let's get started! Sorry about yesterday, I literally could not do the live because I was feeling like a pile of goo after having spent time at the thermal baths all day. Hiya, nice to see you. Today we are doing drawing hair, and we are specifically starting with drawing short hair, and tomorrow we're moving on to drawing long hair. Let's get started for our 15-20 minute session. I have pre-prepared some faces just so that, we could get started. So the way that I see hair is that because I am drawing from a cartoony perspective, I don't want to draw each single hair like you might do if you're doing a realistic sort of portrait, when you draw like each single hair like this, pretty much. That's not what I do. I try and see hair as a shape, as a cohesive shape. So, for example, if I'm trying to draw some sort of like bob hairstyle with a fringe, I would look at it and try and draw the fringe in a way that was, kind of cute. And if it's a fringe and... Oh, hi, Anna! Finally there for a live and on track with all the homework. Nice. So the way that I draw, for example, this kind of fringe, to me, it signifies that the hair are kind of like bouncy and like kind of straight but not flat, So it's basically a point of trying to draw hair that still gives you the idea of what the hairstyle looks like in a realistic setting, but drawing it in a more stylized way so that it fits with the overall cartoony hairstyle, cartoony style, pretty much. So, we do something like this. One thing that you can do to make drawing hair easier is that you can sort of basically divide the face and the head in 3 sections. So you have one section here, which is the front, and it's basically what's on the forehead and in the first part of the parting of the head, up to the middle point. Then you have one section which is the back section, but basically everything that is attached to the scalp. And then you have anything that goes down. So, like, for example, this shape, it could be, or it could be a different shape according to how long the hair is. And this kind of like three-parted way of looking at hair has really helped me sort of figure out how to draw hair in a way that is more stylized, but still makes sense and is kind of cute. So, for example, if I were to draw, again, like a kind of like a cute bob, a little bit manga stylish stuff, something like that, I would probably go like, this is the first section, so I would definitely like, and this is one of my preferences, but I think it works. So like, I always draw something in front of the ear as well, and it can be something long if it's a little bit more, like kind of manga-y, or it can be something short. But I always draw something in front of the ears. And so like I would do like a little fringe, which starts at the beginning of this frontal section, And I like to always give like a little bounce to the fringe, like it goes up, just to make it a little bit more like I don't know, like a little bit more pixie, a little bit lighter, basically. And then I usually draw, as I was saying, like maybe like little bands on the front as well. And this is your frontal section. Then you have the back, and you always have to draw on top of the scalp. So like you don't draw the hair exactly kind of like overlaying the you know, the round part underneath, but you go up, and you know, you allow for a little bit of volume on top of the head, basically. And it will go down like this. And then the third part is short, because this is a short bob, and so like it could go up, you know, like if it's like a more layered sort of haircut. Or it could, you know, you could show the ear, and it could be a more like self-contained bob like this, so turning inwards and going behind the ear like this. So overall, it would look something like this. And yeah, that's pretty much how I sort of visualize hair when I try and draw it. When I try and draw short hair, we can try again with a different type of haircut and a different view. So this is a proper kind of like profile, like 3/4 sort of pose. So here is just slightly off the center, but mostly central. So if you guys want to see any specific haircut, please tell me in the comments so that I can draw that one specifically. So I'm gonna draw short hair, like maybe like a short fringe. Let's try a short fringe. I don't know if I want to do a short fringe with a mullet. Maybe something different. Yeah, let me know, like with short hair. With short hair, I always have trouble like actually figuring out what to do. So I'm gonna go for like a side parting. And so for the side parting, I'm gonna do the side parting starting from this side. So here we go. Like side parting like this with like a big, and you can pretty much give a little bit of bounce here, you know, like almost, I would see one without a fringe. Okay, well, first let's do the side parting. So yeah, you can do this kind of little curve here to signify that the hair is still bouncy, even though it's short, pretty much. And here, there's gonna be the, you know, kind of like the back of the hair, kind of like coming down. Or it could be a lot shorter and, for example, basically on this side, have like a completely shaved sort of like side of the head, which also would work. Let's try one without a fringe for short hair. I mean, how do you do short hair without a fringe though? I guess it could be like really short hair, for example. So I would draw, yeah, just still a little bit something in front of the ears, and then you follow the forehead, and then you have the way that the hair kind of like attaches to the brow. And usually what I do here is that I draw just like little like dents to show that the hair is like really like short cropped pretty much. And then, you know, you could do something like this, where the hair is kind of like going back and, you know, being swept up to that side. And it could be like longer on top. So here is like longer. And here, when I have something that like short cropped to the point where it's almost shaved, I always do these little like tiny signs, tiny marks to the side of the face that says like, yeah, this hair is really short, pretty much. Or, for example, you know, we could have the classic like bowl haircut, and that to the back would look something like this. So you would have like very short hair underneath, and then if it's like a bowl haircut that is with like very straight hair, usually straight hair that is like very equally cut, I always do it with like this sort of almost like a squarish finish, like this. And then I always do like, you know, little bits of hair that sort of like come out and make the haircut a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun. And there you go. So this is how I would sketch it, and then of course you would have to render it, which is again something different. But if you guys want me to draw a specific haircut for shorter hair, or I can just go ahead and render one of these real quick to show you guys how I would render it in the next 5 minutes. So let's choose the bob maybe, because which one is my favorite to draw? I think for me, I really enjoy drawing long hair, so tomorrow I'm gonna be more into my favorite kind of haircuts. I'm gonna try, let's do this one, like duplicate. Let's do this haircut here. So the way that I render haircuts when I okay, yes, hang on, I did something wrong. Okay, no, sorry. So the way that I render here is that I use basically like a base color, and then I usually use, there you go, okay. So this one, so I usually draw the shape of the head underneath, and then I just erase it. Maybe irokets? What is irokets? I really don't know. What is this haircut? I will look it up when I finish the live. So yeah, I usually when I render hair, I usually go for a base color. So I'm gonna go here for a base color. Which base color should I choose? I'm gonna go with light brown. And again, I can usually either do all the, like do the outline and then fill it in, or I usually just use the lasso tool. There you go. I would normally, when I render it, do the front part on one layer that I can put on top of the face, and then the second part on another layer, like the back part on another layer that I put, you know, on the back of the face. But for now, it's like I can just, you know, I can just do it like this, and it's fine, just because this is not like a real drawing, basically. One thing that I always do is that when I create the basic shape, I draw it and color it real quick. Again, it's easier to color in real quick and then just erase part of the drawing than be really accurate in the first place. I feel like that takes more time to be super accurate in the first place. So I would recommend that you basically just do a very quick fill in with color, and then you can just go in and be more accurate with, you know, with your shapes, basically. There we are. And you can just erase some bits to make the points a bit more pointy. And there you go. Okay, so then one thing that I really like about the shapes of the hair when I draw them is that I want to add with a much smaller size of pen, like some stray hair. And again, that adds to the lightness of the haircut. And yeah, it basically just like makes the whole shape a little bit less heavy. So I always add a few stray hair, not too many, otherwise it's gonna just look real messy, but like a little bit messy. I think it's always nice to add a little bit of messiness to a haircut. And then at this point, I create either, well, I can do one thing, which is to pixel lock the layer, which you can do with 2 fingers and swiping to the right, and it becomes pixel lock this layer, so it means that you cannot draw anywhere else on the layer apart from, you know, so like I'm still going like outside of the shape, but I can't draw because the layer is locked, so you can only draw on top of what's already on the layer. And I usually pick a color that is slightly darker or lighter, and with this brush, the noise brush, which is the one that I use for blush as well, very large, you can give a little bit of a gradient. So because it's darker, usually the hair is darker at the roots and it becomes lighter at the bottom, because of course the hair has grown out and you know, it's seen the sunlight, so it probably got a little bit lighter. So I just do this, a little bit of a gradient, very, very light. Then you can create a layer on top, clipping mask, so that it only works on this layer. And you can change the blending setting to overlay or soft light or multiply, depends what's the effect that you want to achieve. But if it's on soft light, it means that it's going to be lighter than the color of the hair. And so I pick a light color, and I'm going to do some detailing of this hair. For example, you know, giving some strands of lighter hair like this, and giving a little bit of detail of the shapes of the hair, basically. So like here, for example, is the shape of the fringe, like this. And then it starts from here, like to the middle parting that we saw before, the hair that goes to the back. So this way, I'm just detailing a little bit more, you know, how this mass of hair actually is working. And yeah, it gives a little bit more realistic feel, basically. And then I will create another layer, and basically all the modifications for this render all happen layer by layer, you know. So like clipping mask, I'm gonna choose multiply this time, so this is gonna be darker than the hair, and you can choose either a color on, you know, the neutral purples or the neutral blues, and maybe pick like a slightly bigger brush size. And this one is for the shading, right? So you're gonna go and pick bits of hair that is in the shade, because, you know, say that like the light is coming from this side, so this side of the hair is gonna be more in the shade, and also there are just, you know, like bits of your hair that are like slightly darker, right? So yeah, you're gonna start adding these strands of hair that are a little bit darker with a much bigger brush than the one that we use to give the detailing, basically. And like on this side, it's gonna be a lot, because all this side is basically in the shade, especially like behind the ear. And yeah, I mean, you can kind of play it by ear, literally, pun not intended. And on this side, it's just gonna be here. Okay, so again, we have added a little bit more texture, a little bit more depth to this shape. Also, I never leave it on 100%, but like take down the opacity to maybe 40% or 50%. I'm gonna go for 45% here. So you see, like, it's you know, you can kind of see it, but it's not as obvious as before, which I think that's also one of the rules when you do any type of render, that like all the changes that you make, you should do just a little bit, like they should be very subtle, like many changes, many layers, but all very subtle. Otherwise, it's all gonna be like a little bit too much. And then you can do, like, depends on the level of, thank you so much for the compliment. But you can do as many layers as you want to modify this shape, depending on how realistic you want it to look like. So like the more shapes, the more layers you add, the more you're gonna basically add to the modification of this basic shape, and the more you're going to add the shading, the more you're going to add to the 3D of the shape. So you know, like we could add another layer on soft light or overlay, depending on how hard you want it to look like. And with like a large sort of brush, you know, you can add some more highlights. Depend also on you know, the hairstyle that you're going for, right? This is not lighting, by the way. Like, this is literally just to modify the hair color. We are gonna do lighting in a minute. This is literally to modify how we want the hair to look like, as in this person has some lighter strands of hair and some darker ones. So I like how divided now it looks like it looks realistic enough for my taste. It doesn't look like a, you know, just one blob of hair basically. So at the end, on top of all these layers that added to the texture of the hair, I add another layer, clipping mask, and this one, because this is going to be light, I'm going to put it on overlay and still use the yellow kind of like battery color. And for the light on hair, I usually do this like wavy thing. I don't know how to describe it, if not like, it's like a wavy sort of thing. And you want it to be wavy because the hair, again, is not straight. And this is the same advice that I was giving you guys when we were drawing the facial features, the eyes and everything else. So like if you draw lighting coming from this side just straight, it's gonna make this look flat. Instead, if you draw it like it's curving around the head, it's gonna look like a real head, basically. Well, not real, but realistic, right? So all the areas on this side that are invested, yeah, to look more natural, exactly, that are invested by the light will have a little bit of color that is lighter. And on this side as well, because even though it's on the other side of the face, there's still some light going into it. And there you go. And then, because this is very strong, I usually then take the eraser and just erase it a little bit, like make it a little bit smaller. There you go. Like here as well, I break it up like this. So like there's the bump and then I break it up, bump and break it up, bump and break it up, because it goes on the other side of the bumps of hair. Sorry, my English is really bad today. I think relaxing is making me more stupid, so I'm sorry. And yeah, so you just kind of break it up a little bit. And here as well. You break it up. And there you go. And then again, I just like to put the opacity down a little bit, because again, that was very intense. I usually put it depends on the rest of the setting of the piece, obviously. Like if this person is standing in front of a very, very strong light source, then it's gonna, go way up. But if it's normal sort of scenario, it's probably gonna be around 40%, I think, or 45. Let's go 45. I usually choose to use the same amount of lighting and shading. So like if the shading layer is 40%, then the lighting layer will be 40%. And there you go. That's how I render hair. I hope that you enjoyed this little tutorial, and if you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section, because I am going to post this as a reel. So also if you joined at the end but you're curious to see how we got here, please do look up my profile in about 5 minutes, and it's going to be there so you can watch the whole session. This took me like to go through a few examples and to do this rendering. Took me about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So yeah, awesome. Really happy to know that you learned a lot. Thank you. So yeah, hopefully ask your questions. Thank you, that's awesome. Are you going to draw curly hair? Yeah, let's do it tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm gonna draw long hair, and we can definitely draw curly hair. Curly hair is actually one of my favorite hair to draw, so I'm happy to do it. I like to draw wavy and curly hair. I really dislike drawing straight hair, so there you go. Nothing straight in my life. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow, and I'm not 100% sure when the session will be, because tomorrow we are getting a plane back to Italy at around 7. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do the session at the airport at around 6 o'clock, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna keep you posted. Okay, see you tomorrow, hopefully.